clear here. Vadim is the kind of guy that enjoys life. Vadim is the kind of guy that when he gets a good idea, he ends up locking himself up for 36 hours and comes out with something he can live off of for 2 months afterwards. Vadim is the kind of guy that decided for himself from day one, I will not be a corporate suit. I will do whatever the fudge I want the rest of my life, and I know and I'm confident that wherever I do, I will not end up in the gutter because I'm too smart, I'm too powerful, and I'm too damn stubborn to make myself fail that way. 3 years just passed since I left Office Space. He used to work in a cubicle. During that time, I developed and or released more than 30 games. That's quite some games there. Also a few games on the iPhone, haha, by myself and via others. Still, I have only one portal, he's one of those guys, and one blog. But we're working at the new one, Casual Portal. See, there's nothing wrong with casual. He's doing it. In total, I was able to earn $145,000. He lives in Russia. He doesn't live in Moscow, so he lives like a king where he lives. I don't exactly know where he lives. He moves around a lot. I might be wrong. The first year, he earned $40,000. The second, a little bit less. Well, guess what year that was. The third, $76,000. An average per month? Almost triple the salary of any game designer I know of. How about you? Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? And you know what? Nobody's on top of him, telling him what to do. He lives a normal life. He speaks at conferences. He drinks. He parties. He does whatever he wants. And I like that. I think you do too. He's my hero. And then there's, of course, there's no time to explain this because Kickstarter is amazing, but the game, there's no time to explain. You might have heard of it. It's this little game that was originally a Flash game, and then they posted a project on Kickstarter, and it took them less than 12 hours to reach their goal of about $7,000. And 2 months later, they're actually tripled their funding through Kickstarter. Now that's not just because Kickstarter is an awesome initiative. Of course, Kickstarter has their own agreements with the people placing projects there. I don't know what it exactly is, but it might involve a little bit of revenue share. But what made There's No Time to Explain want me to donate instantly was because they had a clear vision. They had a very clear vision. They had this awesome trailer that I want to show you guys, but I'm afraid my sound card died on this laptop again, and therefore I can't show it. But look this up and enjoy yourself. Actually, if we can start up that computer, I'll show it to you. They had great gameplay. It was already proven in this Flash version they did before. They had this amazing trailer that just blew me away and blew a lot of people away. Notch from Mojang, he actually donated $2,000 when he saw this. He was like, yes, this is gonna be it. Brilliant marketing, just down to earth. This is us making an awesome game. We need your support. Simple as that. And they made it, and they're gonna make this game. And I had the pleasure of meeting one of their creators, and it's just like, crowdfunding works if you promote yourself, if you market yourself, and if you market yourself as a person as well, and if you write about your experiences and show people that you're legit to make. So imagine that you are having this game ready and you want to sell it, and you want to do it on your own. There are a lot of payment processors out there that are not PayPal. PayPal is very, very limited. Not everyone uses PayPal. But Plimus, B&T Micro, FastSpring, they actually collect payments from a lot of different sources. And they actually help you with creating CD keys, managing users, all that kind of stuff, and give you, a lot of metrics about your sales. If you put an advertising on a website, they will show you how many of the visitors of that site or that clicked on that link actually bought your game. This is very important. Why? Because you've got to measure everything. You've got to measure everything that happens. so you know you will have bread and butter the next month. Because if you don't, you're screwed. This is actually a picture of the average contribution per 15-minute interval for the Humble Indie Bundle. So it's not the best example I have, but you see these spikes over there? Now that's, basically press attention right there. So you can actually measure your sales compared to if someone writes a review about you. So if you guys see this, how many people actually want to make sure that people write reviews about them? Raise your hands. That's what I thought. Because they mean extra sales and extra money and steak for dinner. And of course you can do advertising. Advertising does not have to be very expensive if you want to do it on your own. You don't need a publisher to do advertising. But here's some quick things that you really need to know. Here are the basics of the basics. CPM stands for cost per mil. That's actually what you pay if you want 1,000 impressions on your banner. Ebony, even if they were completely out there with their advertising, they were incredibly smart. If you calculate the amount of people that saw this banner and actually clicked it, it was incredibly high. I don't know how high, but it was high. It was high enough for them to keep pulling this kind of crap for a very long and still pull this crap today. Cost per click. If you gotta imagine, cost per click is basically if someone clicks on your banner, that's gonna cost you a certain amount. If your cost per click is 15 cents and you get 100 clicks, that means, and one person out of those 100 people actually pay for the game, that means that, a sale costs you $15. So you gotta get better than that. So the challenge here is not to buy advertising, it's competing for good ad space with big publishers who have more money than you do. Remember, you are selling a low volume, low cost product. And the advertising should not cost more than that. So you got to be smart about this. So here's an example about how much advertising can cost or how much you can save through good marketing. Who knows the game Dante's Inferno? Raise your hand. All right, it was made by EA a while ago. And it was all about, sins and, the devil and being all naughty and, creatures with nipples and boobs and babies that will kill you and stuff. But they had a brilliant marketing department. What did the department do? They sent out a check to several key game journalists in the biz that basically they could cash. And as it says, this check is as real as the consequences that follow. Cash it or don't cash it. The choice is yours. And Brian Crescenti, the chief editor of Kotaku, decided to burn it on YouTube. And, because he was against it. But what he actually did not, maybe realize, or maybe he did very well, is that by doing this, by making a post about it, by making a video about it, this is what he did. Kotaku charges about $8 CPM. That means $8 per 1,000 people. Now you can imagine how much Kotaku has for daily visitors. Quite more than that. So for their standard advertising banners, that's 8 CPM. Their news post about this PR stunt will likely surpass 40,000 views, and it did. To err on the safe side, let's say the total cost of making that cash and letting it get burned by Brian Crescenti after it arrived at his house was $300. GPD from cheapasgamer.com fame calculated that since the chief editor burned the check, EA basically spent the equivalent of $2.5 CPM for a front page news post. See the difference there? 8, 250? That's incredible value indeed. So test different methods of advertising with yourself. I mean, you can start very basic with just posting on a forum blog. Just don't become a troll. Nobody likes trolls. But you can just post on a forum, a popular game forum, hey guys, I'm making this awesome game, what do you think? Or you can, up it a notch and post on Reddit. A lot of games, like There Is No Time to Explain, had a very vivid community built off of their news on Reddit. Or you can even try out Google AdWords. They gave out these checks for like $30 or 30 euros. I got one for 75 at home. I still want to try it out. That's free advertising right there. And Phil Newton from Sodaware, he actually tried this out. He, his article is in the references, like how much advertising did $19 give me, or something like that. And he says the total number of hits generated by Google AdWords was quite impressive for the amount spent. I wasn't really sure what to expect with AdWords, but I was pleasantly be surprised by the results. Typo. The free advertising was much harder to measure, as it came from a lot of smaller sources, communities, game websites, which don't usually have their own reporting features. The range of traffic was quite varied, with a few surprises as well as a few disappointments. So unless you have someone dedicated to posting on every single game forum out there and measuring the results and trying to see what it caused in your Google statistics, you might as well just spend those hours and hours of work that your programmer could put in code into just paying for a little bit of advertising. But you have to test it for yourself to experience it. There's no other better way. Press release distribution. Now there's two companies that you can do that with. GameRelease.net, which is specifically intended for independent press, but also basically for independent game developers. And GamesPress, which I hope some of you know. If not, go look at it. It's free. They have a free service and they have a paid service. All the big publishers use it. But if you find a publisher, which is the second part of my talk, then you got to figure out for yourself what you expect from them. Maarten de Koning, he set up his own studio called Green Hill Studios. He worked on Rocket Riot for XBLA. He's a good friend of mine, helping me out with a lot of things, giving me a lot of advice. He says, although publishers seem redundant nowadays, due to the shift to digital, the contrary is true. They have vital information about your target market, have the much needed reach, and therefore can take your game to the next level with their arsenal of marketing. Of course, you got to make sure that when you sign a contract, they do actually give you a minimum marketing budget. Promises, promises. No, I want it on black and white. Remember that. So here's a list of publishers, and they're not even the obvious one. These are the ones that might accept your Flash game or your prototype or your smaller games. I mean, I can put Sega in here, but good luck trying to post your your Windows 7 games to them. Look at this. This is. How many people ever contacted at least one of these publishers? Raise your hand. Okay, you know what you got to do tonight, right? And here's the thing. These are all the portals that can buy your game in an instant. Non-exclusive deals. You can do whatever you want. They just want a new game to be played on their portal tomorrow. Chris Natsume, very awesome guy. Met him half a year ago. During a panel, he said something very important. I am not anti-portal, he says. I just believe that relying on them is not a guaranteed way to build up your business. Remember that every sale from your own website, direct sales, like I just mentioned, is another person you can email when you have another game out. And that is true. If you deal through publishers, guess who gets the contact info of your customers? Not you. They do. And often that is a part of the contract, that you do not even get to talk to the customer. But with portals, I mean, they will know your name. They can like you on Facebook. You can refer them to other games. Just make sure that's in the deal when you sign a deal with these guys or with the publishers. I've never done this before, but for me, it's not hard to imagine this because of all the stories that are online and on TikSource of people having dealt with these people. You can read a lot about that. You're not sure if you want to deal with these guys? Google them. Google them and look them up on independent game forums. You will find hundreds and hundreds of direct accounts from fellow indie developers who have dealt with these guys in the past. And of course, if you want to contact a publisher seriously, it's not that hard. If you're on LinkedIn, just look for people that are called licensing managers, partner managers, business developers, or even producers. Sometimes this is funny, and I've actually tried this and I've succeeded several times. I'm not going to do it right now because sadly I don't have the time and I'm afraid my battery's going to die from my camera. But I've actually done this a couple of times. Just a month ago with Sony Ericsson, I actually got the guy's email. He never mailed me back, but still it felt like a rush to do it. And if you do it 30 times, I'm sure someone will mail back. But just call their office. Just look at where they're based, where their office is located, Google it, get the phone number, call the receptionist, tell them you're a businessman trying to get in contact with Mr. X or Mrs. X, and they will forward you. And you will have 30 seconds of their undivided attention on the phone. You will excuse yourself and explain why you are calling. I couldn't find your email online, but I'd very much like to talk to you. Are you going to be at this conference that of course I'm going to next week? And would you have an email so I can send you assets? I don't want to bother you any time more, so thank you for your email, and you will see it arrive shortly. Goodbye. 30 seconds. Come on. It's not that hard. It's so easy. And if they don't mail you back, you'll look them up at the conference and be like, hey, how are you doing? Did you get my email? No, but I'll mail you soon. Okay, cool. Awkward, but they will do it eventually because that's an awkward situation right there. So let's imagine you end up being with them in the same room. You know, these guys, they might have already had like 100 pitches and you're like, oh crap, I'm nervous. What am I going to do? I can't give you a lot of information on this. Yet, once again, there's a lot of reading you can do online. There's a lot of people who've written about these experiences. I'm going to E3 next week, or in a couple of weeks, and I will get my first trial by fire with this, so I hope my advice, I can actually use my own advice and not fail. But here are 3 things that Sepp Carniff from Sony Computer Entertainment Europe said during one of his lectures once, I think at Develop. He says, 1, know everything about the publisher you're pitching to. Do your research, like I've said before. Be sharp and don't bore them. Make sure you time this. Make sure you don't take more time. Make sure you know what you're going to say. Yesterday I had some people that showed me their games and I asked them, can you explain your game in 30 seconds? They couldn't, but that's fine. Just make sure you can when you end up in front of a publisher. Practice with your friends, practice in the mirror, practice with your girlfriend, I don't care. Just practice with someone and make sure that if someone asks you, you have your iPhone ready with your trailer and screenshots and you have 30 seconds, go. It's not that hard if you've done it 100 times. Remove any risk form from your project for the publisher, or have it already done. Like I said, if your game is finished, there is no risk for them. You're not asking them for, you know, I need $100,000 because this is a prototype and I don't have an office yet. They're not going to give you the money. You know why? Because we're young and we're going to buy a car and we're going to blow it before even starting on the game design document. I would. So, like kind of said, it's absolutely crucial that you word your pitch as an opportunity to them. That you have nothing to lose and they have everything to gain. If you present yourself as having a good idea or a strong business case and a great team, that for the investor is a chance. That's a chance for them. You know, Ilke said the same thing during his presentation. Make it sound like an opportunity. Make it sound interesting. Make yourself different from others because you know your stuff. Why didn't they call me back? That's not only a question a lot of girls ask, but a lot of game developers too. Here's Chris again. They made us wait at least 6 months after they said, yes, we'll do business with you. Yes, let's go for it. Before sending us a nice little 2-line email saying, sorry, we're dropping the business deal. If you have other games, tell us. Have a nice day. What this tells me is that you should always make sure you have constant conversation with your publisher and make sure you know what their goal is and if they're compatible with yours before dealing with them. Once again, doing your research.